Hey, what's everybody? This podcast was inspired by one of my stories. So I'm going to go into one of my stories from long ago, around 15 to 20 years ago, somewhere in there. Sometimes I have issues with time. I was at a Starbucks and this mother was lying to her little 2-year-old, 3-year-old about why he had to wear shoes in the Starbucks. And I understand the laws and the liability, and especially in California, that people sue for a lot of things like that. So I understand it. But sometimes the lies or creating a tremendous amount of fear gets in the way of how we move as adults and how it holds us back from the life that we truly want to live. It does or it doesn't. But for most of us, it holds us back. So I remember on the little sippy cup after I was sitting there, and at that time I used to get really mad at shit like that. I wouldn't necessarily say something, but sometimes I would. But I wouldn't necessarily say something, but I was getting really mad about it. Then on the little sippy cup, it said "Born Free" for the little kid.
Wow.
So we are born free. And then life happens. And we're all affected by our childhood in certain ways, some more than others.
For sure, yeah.
And sometimes more than others. What do you feel about that story or that concept?
Yeah, I resonate with that so much. I don't know if I've shared with all of you my particular story, but I was a teen mom. Well, I guess I continue to be a teen mom, even though I'm not a teen anymore. And that really shaped my experiences. And so I decided to go into the field of developmentalism. So I learned a lot about development. But that journey of learning through textbooks only helped me understand like the science behind what we experience, but we all have our own experiences. And for me, the truth that are in developmentalism, we call them socializing agents. So they are people, places, things that shape us, that socialize us. And of course, that socialization can impact our mental development, it can impact our physical development, and it can also impact our emotional development. And I would say that for most of us can resonate with certain things that our parents might have said, or maybe family members or a community might have done or modeled for us, that we internalized as that's bad or wrong. And then we start kind of internalizing, okay, this is okay, this is not okay, right? Morality. We start learning about that really young. And this idea that we're born free is so perfectly said, especially the story that you share, particularly when children are really young, under 5 years old. You're gonna see their most authentic expression of who they are. And slowly but surely, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up, you start seeing how powerful their socializing agents are in their life. So we all have our natural personalities, we have our own rhythms, the things that we are gravitated to, our own internal motivation. But when we receive messages from people in our life that something isn't okay, we start seeing the way that affects us. And as an individual who has witnessed and gotten the privilege to be around so many young little people, you really start seeing that around 3 and 4 years old. If they've been told something over and over and over again, they will start repeating those things. So for instance, I can't do it, or I don't know how, and things like this. Children who are being told that will repeat that, but children that haven't heard that, they're gonna try. They're gonna try because life is new and it's all about exploration. And it reminds me of my own experiences as a child, and the moralities and the lessons. And both my parents are like Mexican American. I use quotations because, you know, these are all terms, labels that we've been given. Anywho,
I'm awesome.
there was like this story that was told around bedtime, specifically meant to make us be afraid of being up at night, to kind of like force us to go to bed at a certain time. And as a young person, I totally believed that there was like some type of like, you know, I don't remember what they called it, but there was this name for like the nighttime monster or something. And you better make sure you're asleep, you know, because that nighttime monster is going to scare you. And I didn't realize it till I got older and realized that that was such BS.
Like last week? I remember telling you, I was like, there's no nighttime monster.
What's the problem? Why are you having insomnia? And then we wonder why we have trouble sleeping when we're older. Or like some of these things that we internalize, these like irrational fears that are not really stemmed or rooted in actual lived experiences, but are 100% rooted in messages we received when we were young. So it's like really fascinating. I could probably tell so many, you could probably tell so many stories too about your own life that we might be able to connect to stories that were trying to convince us to do something, but used fear as a method. And I have some really deep thoughts about that. But that's a very fascinating parenting practice, one that I would say is very much a trauma response for the parents.
There's it's kind of a like something that was like brilliant for me, but also like a really naive, stupid thing for me, is for about 10 years people would say that they're beta testing a website, and I would go, I don't beta test, I theta test. Right. And I kept on saying it. I slightly knew what I was talking about, but I had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And basically, theta is kind of when a child is in their genius stage.
Right. Yeah.
And they grow so fast because, for one, in a beta, we're like, okay, our website's going to be up, but it's going to be down a lot. We're going to be making a lot of mistakes. It's like totally riddled with failure. Like, oh, the investor's going to get mad over you, like apologizing for that, instead of with confidence, hey, we're going to make mistakes, but we put the culture together to fix these mistakes, whatever we're doing, but being able to grow faster. That's why I love the culture of startups until they get to a certain level. And then they have that boredom, that ennui, they have that amount of structure that in order to survive, they have that structure, but sometimes too much structure keeps you up there. So we all have these stories that keep us going.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm going back to the sippy cup, born free statement, and I'm just really at awe of how powerful we really are in accessing this frequency state of we are born free, we are born liberated. Even just thinking like we're born naked, right? We're born raw. We're born with this like capacity to breathe underwater because we've been doing that in the womb. And then now we have this other skill. And now we're breathing air. And now we're like in another dimension, if you will. And so for the adult, the person who's moved out of their childhood, if you ever encounter a moment in your life, which I have, where I'm feeling a lack of liberation, where I'm feeling defeated, where I'm feeling oppressed, suppressed, and definitely not in that frequency of freedom, it's so important to identify what is my authentic voice. And it's so important that we spend time like connecting to that authentic voice,